Hello everyone, in this video lecture we are going to study the salivary glands. These are the third type of glands that we are going to study, the digestive glands. The first we studied liver, pancreas, and now we are going to study the salivary glands. The salivary glands are three pairs. These are parotid glands. These are one pair. Submaxillary, sometimes called submandibular, and the third type, sublingual glands. The main function of these glands is to secrete the secretion called as saliva. So, saliva is the first digestive juice that is secreted in the buccal cavity or the oral cavity. Now, let us see the location of these glands. So, if they are present in the oral or buccal cavity, as I said, so if this is the face, here is the ear. In front of the ear, just below the ear lobe, there is the parotid gland. So, since we know that these are present in pairs, so this is present on either side of the face, one on this side and the other one on this side. So, this is the parotid gland. The parotid gland is the largest. This gland is the largest of the three salivary glands, and this particular gland only secretes the enzymes and water. So, the parotid glands are present in front of the ear lobe and it releases its secretion into the buccal cavity. This duct by which the secretion is poured is known as the Stenson's duct, named after the scientist or the biologist. So, this duct is the Stenson's duct. When this parotid gland gets infected, especially if gets virally infected, then this gland only swells to get a viral disease known as mumps. So, this gland actually swells up. So, this is a viral infection of this particular gland. So, this is present over here and the duct is known as the Stenson's duct. The next gland that we are going to study is the submaxillary or submandibular gland. This is the jawline. So, here it is present. The second gland, which is known as submaxillary. Since it is present at the angle, that means at the angles of the jaw, the upper jaw is known as maxilla and the lower jaw is known as mandible. Since it is present at the angle of the jaw, it can be either called as submaxillary or it can be called as submandibular. So, this is the gland that is present over here and it releases its secretion by a duct which is known as Wharton's duct. Again named after the scientist, Wharton's duct. So, this releases the secretion which is very rich in mucus and water. This does not release any enzyme. And the third type of gland which is present at the posterior part of the floor of buccal cavity. This is the mouth region. Over here, the third type of glands are present and these are known as the sublingual glands. The sublingual glands also release the secretion in the floor of the buccal cavity and this also releases the mucus and the water. The duct which is releasing the secretion is known as duct of Rivinus. So, these are all exocrine glands because they have ducts for secretion. The parotid gland secretes its secretion by Stenson's duct, the submaxillary by Wharton's duct and the sublingual by the duct of Rivinus. Although these glands are not exactly located in the buccal cavity, but the secretion is poured in the buccal cavity. So these ducts actually open in the buccal cavity. The sublingual glands pour the maximum secretion, and this is present below the tongue. So below the tongue, the opening of the duct of Rivinus is there. So under the tongue, when there is a lot of salivary secretion, that is by the sublingual gland. This also releases mucus and water. It does not release enzyme. So this is actually the saliva, which is produced by the 3 salivary glands. Now let us see the composition of saliva. Saliva is 99.5% water. The other 0.5% constitutes mucus and the enzyme. The enzyme that is present in the saliva is known as salivary amylase. It has its older name also, which is known as ptyalin. According to the nomenclature, all the enzymes should end with the suffix ase. So maximum enzymes end with suffix ase, but there are certain traditional names which are carried on like ptyalin, renin, etc., which do not end with ase. But the new name for ptyalin is salivary amylase, so it means the same. Salivary amylase acts on starch. It acts on starch and breaks it down into disaccharides, especially maltose and isomaltose. So when you eat starch, which is present in bread or chapati, at that time you do not feel the sweetness, but keep it in your mouth for a little longer. The salivary amylase will break the starch into maltose, and then you may feel the sweetness after some time, because the amylase has acted upon the starch and broken it down into the disaccharide maltose, which is mild sweet in taste. The third thing that is present is bicarbonate ions. This neutralizes the acidity in the food. Thiocyanate ions are also present, and this is antimicrobial. This also helps in killing the microbes. And there is lysozyme. Lysozyme is an enzyme which again has the antimicrobial action. So this particular antimicrobial action kills any type of microorganisms. So you might have seen the animals licking their wounds. It is only the application of saliva on the wounds. The action of lysozyme and thiocyanate actually kills the microorganisms, and therefore saliva is antimicrobial in action. It consists of antibodies. So these are the constituents. The 0.5% of these things are present in the saliva. Maximum of it is water. So enzyme is produced by the parotid gland, and rest mucus and other things are produced by the other sublingual and submaxillary glands. Saliva has the pH which is almost 6.5 to 6.8. We can call it as slightly acidic. The neutral is 7, so it is slightly lesser than the 7, so it is slightly acidic in nature. So this is the saliva which acts upon the food. Because of the presence of the enzyme salivary amylase, carbohydrate digestion starts right in the mouth. So it is not so that the digestion starts in the stomach or intestine. We can say that the digestion starts right in the buccal cavity or in the oral cavity, but this starch digestion or carbohydrate digestion stops in the stomach. There is no carbohydrate digestion in the stomach, while it resumes again in the intestine. So the starchy food product is broken down into in the buccal cavity, and then it continues in the intestine. The parotid gland is the biggest or the largest gland, and the smallest is the sublingual gland. So this can come in NEET, the duct specially, and which one is the largest and which one is the smallest. So the smallest are the sublingual glands. So this is all about salivary glands. I hope you have understood everything. If you have any doubt, you may ask me in the comment section, and you may even see the questions given in the description box. Thank you.